Millard Sullivan for Kimura, that is. He's standing here with the manager of Anderson Silva, Mr. Ed Soares. How are you holding up, sir?
I'm doing great, man. After a great weigh-in like that, just ready for the fight tomorrow.
We're going to get to that. First of all, this is the second time we bothered you. The first time was at UFC 112 in Abu Dhabi. You were eating food, and a reporter came and asked you a bunch of questions. And now you're drinking something. What is that?
Actually, it was just a smoothie. We had a bunch of them, and someone said no one wanted to drink it, and they said, I said, I'll take it.
Well, once again, thank you so much for taking this time talking to us. Tell us a little bit about what happened at the weigh-ins. It was one of those craziest things. I've never actually seen Anderson Silva bring a prop out. He had a mask out. What was that all about?
Well, that stemmed from, at the press conference, Vitor, someone mentioned that this would be the fight of the century, and they turned around and Vitor said, and Anderson said, well, I believe the fight of the century will be me against my clone. So the next day when they had the open workouts, Vitor, I guess, told the media that Anderson was insecure and that he was putting a mask on because he was scared. So Anderson just responded with saying, okay, I'm going to put a mask on and we'll see. So that's how it all started. And then there were some words exchanged.
How do you handle those MMA analysts that say that Anderson's weakest part of his game is his mental ability? Anderson's, yeah.
Oh man, I think they've got the roles reversed. I think that would be I would have to say I think Anderson's mental game is one of his strongest points. I would say that Vitor Belfort is probably has been his mental game is in question more than I would say Anderson's.
Was that some kind of, let's not call it an antic, but was that some kind of try of Anderson to get a rise out of Vitor and maybe get under his skin a little bit?
You know what? I really couldn't tell you. I don't know what the reason was. Anderson has his own reasons for doing things, and he didn't really express it. That's all was all new to me.
You look tremendous up on that scale. Tell us a little bit about how his training camp's been going. And
he told me that he's never been so well prepared for a fight. He trained in Brazil. He was healthy, and he felt great.
What can we expect from him come Saturday?
I think you're going to see another great fight from Anderson Silva, and believe me, Vitor Belfort is no pushover. He's a hell of a fighter. He's a very technical fighter, and I believe if Vitor comes in 100% physically and mentally there, and Anderson comes in the way he's going to be coming in, I think you're going to see one of the greatest middleweight bouts of all time.
Before I let you go, and I know you're very, very busy, we have to talk about the potential matchup between Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre. Give us your 2 cents on that.
Well, that's a big fight. Anderson wants to be involved in big fights. If it happens, it would be great. But, right now we're just really focused on tomorrow night. And whoever the UFC wants to put in front of us is fine with me.
Are you for that matchup? And what weight do you think that will actually occur in?
When it comes to am I for that matchup, I don't really have a say-so, or I really don't. I mean, I can have my opinion. I think George St. Pierre is the greatest welterweight of probably all time. And Anderson is the greatest fighter of all time. There's a lot of argument of who the best pound-for-pound fighter is. I know it will probably be bias comes from. I believe Anderson Silva is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I think George St. Pierre is an incredible athlete. I just think Anderson Silva just he's a little bit bigger and just has a few more weapons that can cause some problems for George St. Pierre. Once again, not taking anything away from George St. Pierre. Not only is George St. Pierre a great fighter, but he's a great person. I like him as a person, and there hasn't been too many times that I've ever rooted against him. I don't think if ever, maybe a few times, maybe no. I'm good friends with BJ too, so I was always going for BJ. But George St. Pierre is a great guy and an incredible athlete, and I think that if that fight happens, I do believe it'll be one of the biggest fights in MMA history.
If the mood in Brazil was crazy, at the press conference, having this tremendous bout between two of the greatest Brazilian fighters of all time, how do you think the boiler room is now after the weigh-ins?
As far as the Brazilian media?
Exactly. And the people as well.
Well, I mean, the Brazilian people, Vitor I don't know. I mean, Vitor's a big superstar in Brazil, and so is Anderson. So this is just a really a big deal in Brazil. So I haven't really, I don't live in Brazil, so I don't really know. But when I'm down there and from what I hear, this is the talk of the town and the talk of the country, pretty much.
Do you think it's peculiar at all that the fans were actually booing one of the greatest fighters the UFC has ever seen, maybe the world has ever produced, at the weigh-ins, being the middleweight champion that he is? You think that's peculiar at all that the fans were booing him? It's a hard question, right?
Yeah, fans are fans, you know what I mean? It's like, the same fans that are booing him are the same guys that are cheering him. Vitor speaks very well. He knows how to win people over. He does a good job. I mean, seeing the countdown show and seeing Vitor cry on TV, it makes people, it just gives them a different light. Like I said,
Is it the classic rooting for the underdog story here?
probably rooting for the underdog, and they just, it's unfortunate, but people, to me, people want to see, a lot of people want to see Anderson lose. To me, I believe that Anderson Silva is one of the greatest fighters of all time, and it's just a shame to see people want to see him get knocked off that. To me, not just because I'm his man, I just want to see him continue his legacy and go down as one of the greatest fighters that ever lived.